Hey guys, Brandy here. Welcome back to Sewing Back and welcome back to my kitchen. Today is a day off for me, and by saying a day off, it is a day off from my paying job, my office job. Even though I'm not really ever in the office, I'm always running around. Um, but today was a day off. We had the holiday for Good Friday, and John was off as well. We both took the day off. We were awaiting our youngest son to come back from a mission trip, and we had to pick him up from the airport. And so we decided to take our day off and do things that needed to be done. And there's an old saying, happy wife, happy life. And a lot of people may not like that saying. And I think you could say the same thing about, a happy husband makes for a happy life as well. Um, but for me, I have to say that when I'm in my home and I'm homemaking and I'm getting everything in order, I'm making sure everything's clean. This it may sound strange, but it makes me happy. It makes me feel at peace. It makes me calm. And I have a wonderful husband who understands this about me. He would never pick to clean a house and do all the things that I chose to do on my day off, but he knew I was happy doing them. I was doing what I wanted to do, and by getting this done, he knew I could enjoy the holiday weekend. After we got our son back, and that night, and from the airport from his trip, we were going to be able to take in the fullness of the Easter weekend, and I wouldn't have to worry about any of this because it was done. And one of the struggles that I have had since going back to work outside the home has been it's a struggle to have energy. I am on my feet pretty much the whole time I'm working, running around doing stuff, going on trips, and just different things with the seniors. And I love it. I love that about my job. But I feel empty a lot of times by the time I get home, like I've run out of gas. And so I have kind of been struggling a little bit with trying to find that rhythm. And I imagine that a lot of homemakers and a lot of people think when you say homemaker that means that the wife is in the home all the time and that she does not provide income or work outside the home. Maybe she works inside the home. But I have, got a news flash for you. Whether you are full time, just a full time mom, stay at home mom raising your children, you're working. If you have kind of some kind of hybrid where you work part time and you're home part time, you're working. If you have a full time job but you still have a home and a family, I guarantee you are working. You're working in all of these different scenarios. They just look very different. And the world likes to pit women against each other because they find themselves in different places in seasons of life, and that's silly. That's just silly. I enjoy being in my home. I enjoy doing these things. I enjoy cooking meals, all of that. And I understand that there's other women that truly enjoy their career choices. They enjoy all of that just as much, and they get just as much satisfaction. But they still have a home that they have to keep, and that is sometimes the mundane task of, sweeping floors, vacuuming floors, mopping floors, cleaning out your pantry closet, cleaning out your refrigerator, wiping down everything, giving it a once over, dusting, all those different things. It just is something that we all have to do. And that is where I found myself on this day. And I was so relaxed. I wore myself out, But I have so enjoyed my home since taking the time on this day to do this. And I did have a wonderful Easter weekend, even after all the work was done, because I could relax and know that I was ahead. And that's a hard feeling to have, whether you have little ones running around. You could get things clean and 5 minutes later there's a mess. That's part of that season of life, and this is the season that I find myself in. Is I'm getting closer and closer to being an empty nester, and I am working again outside the home, but I still have a home, and there are things that need to be done. And so I felt quite blessed that I was able to take the time to get my house in order and get it clean, and I wasn't even having company. We didn't even I didn't have to cook for Easter or any of that kind of stuff. My mother-in-law hosted us and provided our meal, and it was wonderful. And but this just felt so right to me and so good to me, and I thought a lot about it as I was just doing laundry and all the things. That we all have so many, as women, have so many things in common, even if we come at things a little bit differently. And we should lift one another up, not tear one another down, or be jealous because maybe one person has a different status than we do. We should appreciate for where we are in a given time. So one of the things on this day off that I really needed desperately to do, it was to clean out my pantry. One of the struggles I have had since going back to work has been meal planning, kind of staying on top of all of that kind of stuff, like I did prior to. And I have been working really hard the last month through the low carb challenge that I did to get better at planning my meals and organizing all of the snacks, breakfast, lunch, all those things that will fit into serving me and my family best. And so that really came into play today when I got to go through all of my stuff. It's probably been over a year since I have done this, or pretty close to it. And it felt so good to go through everything, get rid of things that needed to be gone, and to clean everything down. I took so much out. I even cleaned out, I don't think I videoed this, but I even cleaned out under the sinks, all the areas, and emptied and refilled containers. I got new spices in my spice jars where they were lacking, and it just got my kitchen ready to work. And I know as a teacher, the old saying, work smarter, not harder. Well, that's kind of how I felt this was. This was me working smarter, not harder, because by doing all of this, it was going to set me up for success going forward. And so I was just incredibly thankful for this day. And I will say that I feel after kind of doing this reset that it has helped me structure myself just a little bit better with a work-family balanced life. And those are kind of some key words that a lot of people talk about, particularly after the last several years, where a lot of people went from 5-day-a-week office type jobs to a lot of people now work from home. They work in hybrid situations, that kind of stuff. I actually work 5 days a week out of my home. So that is a little bit different. But I do work part-time, so I'm gone for about 6 to 7 hours a day most days. And so I have a little bit more time than if I were full-time and employed full-time. So Here you can see after the challenge, I had put my sourdough to rest in my refrigerator. So I have, what I'm doing here is I am milling some kamut wheat. It's also known as Corazon wheat. And I am going to feed my sourdough starter for the first time in about 6 weeks to start getting it prepared so that I can make some more sourdough bread and things like that. I'm also here. One of the things that you want to do when you're making or feeding your sourdough is you want filtered water. You don't want to use fluorinated, I'm not sure, whatever you call it. You don't want to have any of that stuff in it. And so I have a Berkey that I've had for several years, and I really enjoy my Berkey, and so do my kids, and it needed refilling. So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm refilling it and getting it ready so that when I get prepared, I can get my sourdough starter fed. One of the reasons I have been enjoying feeding my sourdough starter with freshly milled grains is that I find it is so much more active than if I were to use an all-purpose flour. I remember doing like a master class on sourdough back in 2020 when I was going on the whole sourdough adventure with a whole lot of other people. And and one of the things that I was told in the master class is, oh, it's so much better just to use all-purpose for feeding your sourdough starter because, it's just feeding the sourdough. But what I have come to find is that when you mill your own grains and you use different grains like a rye or a hard red wheat or even kamut, that it just bubbles up and gets really happy in its ferment, compared to when I just use an all-purpose, even if it's like an einkorn all-purpose. So in here I showed you the liquid. That was the hooch. I did pour mine off. You don't have to. You can incorporate it if you want. I chose to like I said, I chose to pour mine off, but I am so happy that I have been feeding my sourdough starter now for the last couple days, and boy are my chickens happy because I've had some discard, and they haven't had any in a while because I had put it to rest in the fridge. So they see me coming now and they're like, is she bringing us some more? Is she bringing us some more? They love sourdough discard, and it's really good for them as well. So if you are worried about it going to waste and you have chickens, that's a great thing to do with it. Otherwise, there's a lot of great sourdough discard recipes that you can use your discard to make before it's even fully active. And I remember doing that when I was making my first starter. So that is what we're doing, and here I wanted to show you, it was the end of the day. We were getting ready to go to the airport, and all of my hard work had paid off. My home was lovely, and I didn't show the rest of my house, but I had vacuumed all of the floors and dusted in our den and all of that. But my kitchen, most importantly, the place I love to be outside of my garden, probably the place I love to be the most, was ready. And there's his welcome home sign. I did cook him a home cooked meal because he missed Mama's cooking while he was on his trip. And we had a great family meal together, and he told us all about his trip to Puerto Rico and the people that he got to work and serve with. And so I hope you found this of value, and I appreciate you watching. Bye!